Talking to my mirror like I love you so much. Curving on my critics like I heard you, so what? You can't kill my confidence, I think I'm the man. Tally all the I ever gave on my head. Lately I've been living like I can't take a loss. They ain't wanna help me, that's what made me a boss. You can't kill my confidence, I think I'm the man. We don't give a that's what they don't understand.
I'm back again like flu season. I broke records while loose leafing. I'm coming down my roof, leaving. Don't give a I don't care. Did the by my lonesome. No wonder now I'm on one. No shortcuts on that long run. All I really want is my share. Get him, I got him, I told him it's nothing. In the discussion, all them feelings, I throw all my pain on percussion. It's disgusting. I hear them bragging about that they did, and it do not move me, not in the least. They ain't been dropping no seeds in the soil, but swear that you on my spot at the feast. I've been on go mode, showboat, rowboat, wave ride. Cool shorty, too naughty, pool party, wet for the face ride. Annie up, penny down, hand me down, thrift store, old drip. New money, too funny, old shorty, talk about old. I'm on they now, can't get a pass now, I'm a cash cow, keeping it brash now. It's trash now, I'm a spaz out. I've been killing my lows and living on highs. You see in the skies the proof. You could just see in my eyes that there is no lies. I cannot disguise the truth. I've been duck dog, getting in my new merch, colored duck sauce on the new couch with my Chucks on. Get the on with that hate. I'm big cool on the small chat, cause I know now that I'm all that. Got a hawk guy on the ball cat, get the out of my face.
Talking to my mirror like I love you so much. Curving on my critics like I heard you, so what? You can't kill my confidence, I think I'm the man. Tally all the I ever gave on my head. Lately I've been living like I can't take a loss. They ain't wanna help me, that's what made me a boss. You can't kill my confidence, I think I'm the man. We don't give a that's what they don't understand.
Scheming on a milli, tryna hit the yacht sail. Gold shining lobster near the Everglade music. When we drop, it's like you never made music. Better days never came easy to a quitter. Ain't no pump faking, let them see that I deliver. God body, baby, big 7 in the skin. Probably why you never hear no better again. Higher than the spot that we bout to set the bar. Stinking, smell it before it left the jar. I just left the coast straight to another ocean. Got excuses, me, I'm really having motion. Sipping on mimosa, chopping real estate game. 40 years later, still the same lane. Just left the hood, never heard of you. 30 long years, not a single word of you. Shop booming, baby, come and get it while it's open. I don't have time, I've been busy having motion. Just left the town, things spoke to you. You a L7, probably served to you. Shop still booming, come and get it while it's open. I don't have time, I've been really having motion. Boy, stop playing, this is not your lane. Never.
Boy, stop playing, this is not your lane. You know who you is, you know who I'm talking to. Welcome to Paradigm Shift TV 314. This is your brother, DMG the poet, the infamous DMG, aka Brother Pianki, the HNIC. And this is the Battle of the Ideologies tournament opener. And we got a powerful debate for you. This is the rivalry that I think is the preeminent rivalry of this particular tournament in this inaugural tournament that we kicking off. Shout out to the law firm Craig and Craig for them brothers putting this together, organizing this thing, coming up with the concept, the construct, the format, etc. The brothers put in a lot of work, took a lot of time and patience, but they did it. Shout out for everybody that's supporting. And now we are here. We got the man I call the Annihilator of urban apologetics, Jamel Lashley, aka J.Faqz. And we got the one and only Demus, Afrikan, the man who is your favorite atheist's favorite atheist. And they about to answer what I believe is one of the most pertinent questions in today's theology versus atheist arena or contest. And that is there sufficient evidence for God? Specifically, the Christian God. Now, it's a lot of people who wouldn't have taken this debate either way. So I want to shout out both of these brothers for taking this this particular topic and putting it all on the line. Now, for y'all who don't know, the winner of this debate moves on to the second round. The loser could still get picked by your man Zion the Lion. So the loser of the debate is not necessarily out of this thing. So, and that's the genius of the way our brother Ratchet Craig and Classic Craig got this thing set up. So it's a very interesting format. Definitely a very interesting way to go about it. And I think y'all gonna enjoy it as it play out over these next few weeks. That being said, my brothers, please reintroduce yourself to the Paradigm Shift TV 314 audience, and we're gonna start with the Annihilator, J.Faqz.
What's poppin', King? How you? You
got it, man. You got it.
I appreciate it. I appreciate the space. I appreciate the time. First and foremost, I am Jamel J.Faqz Lashley. Mr. If you turn your neck for a sec, your name's missing here to argue the affirmative. Is there sufficient evidence for a higher power, specifically the Christian God? I say yes. And I'll show you that in the presentation.
No doubt, no doubt. Shout out to my man J.Faqz. Hey, just so y'all know, my man J.Faqz been supporting the channel financially like no other. Much love and respect for that. Everybody say, well, you only shouting him out because he's spending. Hey, look, you damn right. That's why I'm shouting him out. So get like him is all I got to say. Shout out to my man. My man been throwing them dollars like you would not believe. Like what you seeing right now is just the tip of the iceberg. Shout out to my man.
Appreciate you, King.
And then we have your favorite atheist, the one and only Demus. This is a brother who put in work all over the place, and we honored to have him over here. Please reintroduce yourself to the
Yeah. It's the animated assassin, the cartoon commander, and Super Pan Man, wild as a Taliban. Come see me. I'm about to win this whole tournament, baby. Holla at me.
He say he about to win the whole thing. All right, family. So what we doing? We got 5 minutes, 3 to 5 minute opening arguments. And basically, we're going to let y'all have y'all opening statements to break down what it is you will be putting forth in this contest. 3 to 5 minutes. That's all we're giving you. You can take a minimum of 3. You can take a maximum of 5. It's up to you. If you take less, that's fine too. But you get a minimum of 3 and a maximum of 5. We're going to start with the animated assassin. Give your opening statements, what it is you're going to be putting down, how you're going to be putting it down, etc. Get into as much as you want to get to in regards to your opening statements. Your time will start when you start.
All right, give me 1 second. I want to make sure I understand how to share my screen here. Entire screen. Share that. Can you share this for me?
1 second. Okay. So the only thing it's giving me an option to do with this other screen is to remove it. It's not giving me an option to share it.
All right, now hold on 1 second. Oh man, that's great.
It's already on the screen.
My screen is on the screen?
Yeah. It says Demus and presentation in parentheses.
Yeah, I'm trying to just share screen. It's giving me every option but that, actually. Give me 1 second. I don't know what else to do. Because this is where I was presenting from. Slides. Shh. One second, y'all. Did not notice it's going to be there.
You want me to go to J.Faqz?
Yeah. Let him go ahead on first, and then I'll just be able to respond after.
All right, J.Faqz, I'm gonna let you do your opening statement. The time will start when you start, Monkey.
Roger that. I'm gonna go ahead and present my screen real quick.
All right.
Shit, present. Share screen. Entire screen. Share. All right. Let me know when you can see that, King.
All right, we got it up.
Can y'all see the presentation?
Yep. Let me know when you're ready to start.
I'm ready now.
Time starts.
I am J.Faqz Lashley, like I said moments ago. Mr. If you turn your neck for a sec, your dame's missing. And your host this afternoon. I say I'm your host because my opponent is just here ornamentally. If you don't know the definition, that means he's just here for show. I'm a Christian and a senior assistant administrator for the Department of Homeland Security. And as such, many in the paradigm shifters call me an agent. I'm going to be arguing to the affirmative that there is sufficient evidence that a higher power paralleling into the Christian God exists. My argument will be based in and on deductive reasoning, evidential reasoning, the complexities of all life, and its incredible parallels to technology, which suggests, as you will see in this presentation, that an intelligent mind is behind the universe itself. Consider the intricate complexities of life. The human body, for example, is a marvel of engineering and technology. Complexity and functionality are clear indicators that they were designed by someone creative and intelligent. We can admire the ingenuity behind smartphones, computers, and the internet because we know these innovations result from the creativity and intelligence of human beings. But observing the natural world, we're supposed to ignore that these complex and functional systems that exist within it, like the eye, which is comparable to even the most advanced cameras, or the brain, just as powerful, if not more powerful than any supercomputer, happened by a random natural occurrence? Nah, I can't rock with that. These biological systems are not just complex, they're insanely efficient and purposeful, suggesting an engineer far more advanced than us. And for that, I'm grateful, especially for the purposefulness, because every time I lay down with my beautiful black woman, I'd be locked in awe of her frame. The fact that satisfaction was included as a purpose for that body, something worth being amazed of. But I'm going to just stay focused. I'm going to stay focused. We must stay focused. Shout out to Dr. Umar Johnson. This entire discussion is completely subjective. And none of the standards given in this conversation can be applied objectively. My opponent can't say objectively that a high power does not exist, and I can't say objectively that a high power does exist. These standards are instead intersubjectively applied by a consensus of supposedly reasonably minded experts. You, our judges. All of science, all empiricism, all of law is based on the intersubjective consensus of experts and, of course, definitions. So that same metrics exists here, especially given the topic of this discussion. We can't examine or test this higher power, so that renders the scientific method useless to prove its existence. Instead, you'll see that we'll inevitably end up treating this like we're solving a crime, piecing together evidences to make our cases. My opponent plays the prosecution and not the defense, leaving it to y'all to make your consensus intersubjectively. If sufficiency can be found for an innocent man or woman to be put in jail by a jury of their peers, attorneys, and a judge, you know, the consensus of reasonably minded experts, I'm confident that it'll be found here as well. So here's what's going to be communicated. There is sufficient evidence to support the existence of a higher power just looking at the natural world alone. The acceptance of existence is simply an observation.
2 minutes. 2 minutes.
Sufficiency is wholly subjective, meaning what's enough for one person is not enough for another. An ice cube to a man stranded in the desert is life-saving, but that same ice cube to a man with a cold Coke in his hand is unnecessary. Parallels between the higher power and the Most High God, the Christian God, are present. That's what I'm communicating. What I'm not communicating, and I need y'all to understand this very clearly, this is why I actually sent the money to the YouTube channel. I don't give a flying fuck about saving anybody. This presentation is not an attempt to convert anybody to Christianity. I'm not going to prove the deity of Jesus Christ. That's not what this conversation is about. Faith is not necessary to discuss existence. I'm not here to convince anybody to do the right thing. I don't care about morality. I don't care about creationism or Christian science. T-shaped cells, none of that's going to be discussed. I don't care about appealing to your emotions. They don't matter to me. And I'm not going to say that science is bad. In fact, I'm using a great deal of science in this presentation. You'll see that shortly. And this, of course,
1 minute. 1 minute.
This, of course, is a list of definitions and words that we'll be using throughout the presentation. I'll end it on this quote. Human beings reason by means of concepts and definitions. We also make laws by definitions. And if you don't know how to operate with respect for those definitions, then you can't make the law. That's by the Honorable Alan Keyes, former Assistant Secretary of State. And I'm done.
And that is peace. Hey, listen, my man came in with the smoke. He said, I don't give a flying what about. Hey, listen, my man came in with the heat, but I'm sure your favorite atheist, the animated assassin, is about to come with some heat of his own. Pan, are you ready, my G?
Like a flamethrower, baby. Listen, so I'm having some technical difficulties, but we just gonna move past that. And I'm just gonna share my camera right here.
Hey, real quick, Pan, do you want to send me your presentation and I'll pull it up?
I don't know what's happening. I tried to do that too, and it's not working. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna share my camera, okay? And you tell me if you can see this. Is this visible for y'all?
It's visible, but it's like sideways.
Sideways.
Okay, now it's right side up.
All right, but it's still a little crazy, right? But that's okay. Just go ahead and start me right here. Just understand that I'm going to give this whole presentation again so you can see these slides for real. But what I'm going to say is not really... Okay, what I'm about to say is not predicated on these slides. It's just so you can have a visual. Understand me well, this is not a joke. You see how he said that in the beginning he gave you the $50, he's financially supportive of the thing? In the beginning of this, he said that he didn't even want the $300 and he would donate it to his opponent. This is not a joke. When I looked at his topic, I decided to reach out and fill out the forms, pay the registration fees for a $750,000 reward for the proof of paranormal or metaphysical claims. If he can provide the sufficient evidence that he claims he can, paradigm shift will be balling. Check. This man comes straight out of a comic book talking about he don't give a fuck. Oh, word. How very Christian of you. I happen to notice that DMG, a Christian, didn't even repeat that. Let's move on. Sufficient evidence. Now here you can't really probably read it, but here is sufficient evidence according to Stanford law, right? The standards of proof for sufficiency of evidence and what is accepted, right? Sufficient. He wanted to rely on that so bad. Hearsay is not evidence. So during his presentation, I don't want to hear hearsay. I want to see evidence. If we don't see evidence, I'm not trying to hear it. Here, again, it's probably backwards or something crazy, but is it backwards? Okay.
Nah, but
Okay.
man, listen, real quick. I
Yeah,
paused your time at 3:16.
Okay.
Finish this portion out, but like my girl Juju said,
Yeah.
email me. I put my email in the private chat for the
I'm gonna try
rest
after this.
for the rest of the debate. Yeah, just try to email it to me, and I can bring it up, and you can tell me when to go to the next slide, etc.
You put the email in the back chat?
In the private chat of StreamYard. So go to the private chat over to your right, and you can grab the email.
Excellent. But for right now, for the presentation right now, we are looking for evidence beyond a reasonable doubt. There's different standards of burdens of proof. Okay, beyond a reasonable doubt is where we are. Why is it so high? Because the standards vary by the type of matter, and the more serious the matter, the higher the standard of proof. And this right here, not necessarily his soul, because he don't give a fuck. But if we're going to talk about Christianity, it's other people's soul, and the existence of the higher power and the salvation of their soul requires high evidence. So if it don't fit, I ain't trying to hear that shit. Check. And as far as how we got here, the Lifetime made-for-TV movie they did, talking about why is everybody so lean to Christians, while they out there picking all these fights, being crusaders, not giving a fuck, while promoting Christianity, right? This is how we got here. When he came in the back chat saying everybody had a third grade reading mentality and understanding, right? This is how we got here. And this is going to be his downfall. Check. I'm actually finished. I'm going to come back when I get this presentation together.
All right. You got 2 minutes left. 1 minute 58 seconds. Is that all you want to do, or you want to keep going?
Nah, I can say a couple other things. Again, like I said, I asked him a couple questions about how his behavior was representative of somebody who truly believed that a Christian God exists. If you truly believe that a Christian God exists, according to your own salvation and soul, etc., whether you give a fuck about others or not, that is not what the book tells you to do in your actions or your speech. So he came out here perfectly representing who he is as a Christian, because he really don't believe this. And he coming out here just to do this because he like to argue. He's not out here to try and convert you. He's not out here to try and tell you anything true about Christianity. He just out here trying to win an argument. And according to the book, it said you ain't supposed to do nothing just so you can get seen. It said you're supposed to do everything to the glory of God. You're not supposed to never not give a fuck. Have a nice day.
All right. I told you your favorite atheist was going to have that smoke. And these brothers are off to the races. And so we're going to get right into the main portion of this thing. And so opening statements are now over. We are going to the argument presentations. Each participant will have 2 10-minute rounds each to present their arguments. So we're going to start off with the Annihilator. Pan, make sure you checked out that private chat so you can get your presentation over to me. Let me know in the private chat when you email it so I can pull it up, and we'll get that thing situated so we won't have any more technical difficulties. In the meantime, I'm going to remove this other picture or section where you was at, where it said presentation. Annihilator, are you ready for your first round?
Yeah, let's do it, King.
All right.
I'm going to share my screen real quick so we can get back to the presentation.
All right.
Share the screen. Type the screen. Boom. All right. Click this. Slideshow. All right. You can see the presentation?
Yes, sir. Time start when you start.
Roger that. I'm beginning now. I don't want to cheat no time. As you see, I was telling y'all definitions make everything, right? How we define things determines everything. That's just what it is. To answer this question, though, before I even continue, because I don't want to waste too much time, he wanted me to answer this question. I'm not wasting too much time explaining it. Is it ever permissible to lie in the interest of promoting or protecting Christianity? The answer is no. Next slide. To begin my presentation, though, let's talk about the human body. By definition, according to Merck & Co., the pharmaceutical company, the human body is a complex, highly organized structure made up of unique cells that work together to accomplish the specific functions necessary for sustaining life. When you look at the human body from a spec standpoint, it's a Motorola Razr from 2003. Weak in comparison, much of the technology weak in comparison to much of the technology we possess today. It only possesses consciously, we're talking about the human brain here, excuse me, it only processes consciously between 40 to 50 bits per second. And as far as storage goes, it only holds roughly about 1 gigabyte to 16 terabytes of data. When you think about it, that's impressive given that modern technology took years to get to that point, let alone surpass it. And we were all born with that kind of power. Yet, while much of our devices today do amazing things, the human brain still reigns supreme. In order for a CPU to match the human brain, it needs cores. Hence the advent of the GPU. I don't want to give y'all a whole argument here. That's going to take too long to define GPU. Look it up. In our brains, those cores are neurons. The human brain has an estimated 100 billion neurons in it, allowing for insane levels of multitasking to take place, intricately intertwining how we experience the world we live in. You can smell, taste, touch, see, hear, breathe, a heart rate increase, bodily temperature control, etc., all at once with you barely noticing these things taking place. Even more amazingly, it does all of that with only using a mere 12 watts of electricity or power. For a computer of any kind to be able to match that, it would require an immense amount of electricity and space. In fact, the average CPU runs on between 65 and 150 watts off the shelf at the nearest Walmart. You throw in a GPU and we talking about an electric bill higher than Snoop Dogg at the Source Awards. Let's talk about DNA. Deoxyribonucleic acid is a molecule that contains the biological instructions, I highlight these words for a reason, that makes each species of living organism unique. DNA, along with the instructions it contains, is passed from adult organisms to their offspring. These instructions are needed for an organism to develop, survive, and reproduce. Behavior is also subject to genetic variations. The ways in which individuals differ in their intellectual abilities, personalities, and mental health are to a large extent functions of their inherited biological instructions. That is according to the National Human Genome Research Institute. It's sourced right there. Go look it up for yourself. Did you know that the DNA can store a mind-blowing amount of data in an imperceptibly small space? Check this out. Humanity as a whole, that's the whole world, will generate an estimated 175 zettabytes of data by 2025. That's 175 followed by 21 zeros. The DNA can squeeze all that information in a ping-pong-sized ball with room left over. The 74 million bytes of information in the Library of Congress, could be squeezed into a DNA archive the size of a poppy seed 6,000 times over. If you split that seed in half, you could store all of Facebook's data. We are talking about an insanely efficient storage space. Look at your phone for a second. Look how big it is. DNA is Lilliputian and can hold more data than it can right now. There is no such technology that can store that much data more efficiently in existence today. A single gram of DNA can hold a mind-numbing 215 gigabytes of data. This is Googleable, by the way. Let's talk about plants for a second. This comes from the University of Delaware. Did you know that plants can detect a chemical that lets it know if other plants are related to it in its immediate proximity? Susan Dudley, an evolutionary plant ecologist at McMaster University in Hamilton, Ontario, and her colleagues observed that when siblings are grown next to each other in the soil, they play nice, and they don't send out more roots to compete with one another. However, the moment one of the plants is thrown in with strangers, it begins competing with them, rapidly growing more roots to take up the water and mineral nutrients in the soil. Even when siblings grow next to each other, their leaves often touch and intertwine, compared to strangers that grow rigidly upright and avoid touching. What does all this information mean? What's the point of me sharing this data? According to ChatGPT, and I'll show you the definition of this momentarily, the ability to adapt is embedded in the genetic and cellular machinery of organisms. Embedded, involving multiple levels of biological organization, from molecular genetics to whole organism physiology and behavior. I did some digging to figure out where the first set of genetic instructions came from for the first living organism, since it's commonly reported that all of what we are today is a result of adaptations, which I'm not arguing against. I need y'all to understand that. I'm actually arguing for that. Well, in order to adapt, those first organisms needed to be equipped to do so. You can't put furniture together without the tools to do it, right? The genetic code needed to be present for them to have the ability to adapt. My question, where did that initial code come from? I searched for weeks. I even asked AI, and the answer is the same every single time. The ability of the first living organisms to adapt and evolve can be traced back to the fundamental properties of life and the nature of biological systems. Fundamental meaning that the basic essential characteristics or principles are inherent to living organisms and their biological systems. Put shortly, nobody knows, not even AI, because inherent means that those organisms just had the ability by definition of the word. The problem with that is that it doesn't fit into the causal notation, given that DNA, by definition, possesses the instructions for an organism to develop, survive, and reproduce. I showed that in the definition previously. It's impossible that they had blank DNA with no instructions for them to adapt, having their environments encode them from a blank state, because then we wouldn't exist. The organisms would not have survived long enough to adapt, since survival comes from the instructions, and adaptations takes a very long time. Adaptations stem from being able to adapt in the first place, which ensures an organism's survival. That ability to adapt needed to be present in their genetic code for it to be expressed. It's called gene expression. Gene expression is the process by which the information encoded in the gene is turned into a function directly from the National Human Genome Research Institute. You can look it up yourself. Where did that initial code come from? Source code. I'm sure you heard of it before. It was in the movie Hackers, if you're old enough. Source code is the fundamental component of a computer program that is created by a programmer, often written in the form of functions, descriptions, definition, calls, methods, and other operational statements, often written in the form of functions. These instructions are needed for an organism to develop, survive, and reproduce. Those sound like functions. Let's keep going, though. It is designed to be human readable and formatted in a way that developers and other users can understand. That's directly from Scott Wallace, go Red Tech Target. Thank you, Scott. Did you know that genetic code and programming languages share several similar or notable similarities? Both use a specific set of symbols to convey information. Both systems have a defined syntax and structure. Both store and transmit information. Both involve translation mechanisms, believe it or not. Both systems have methods for error handling and correction. Genetic systems have mechanisms like DNA repair enzymes to correct mutations, like a virus, antiviral programming. Programming languages have error detection and handling mechanisms that manage bugs and exceptions. Both are hierarchically organized. Both systems exhibit redundancy. Both systems result in the execution of specific instructions. Genetic code is expressed through the synthesis of proteins, which perform various functions in the cell. Programming code is executed by a computer to perform tasks and solve problems. These parallels highlight the information processing nature of both biological and computational systems, showcasing how life and technology share foundational principles in encoding, processing, and executing instructions. Foundational principles in encoding, processing, and executing instructions. My quote's gone. That's unfortunate. It's a quote from Max Planck. That's unfortunate. I'll just read my words. I don't know where my quote went. Either way, in this quote, Planck acknowledges that matter at its most basic level is held together and brought into existence by forces. These forces cause the particles within an atom to vibrate, maintaining the structure and stability of atoms, which he compares to a tiny solar system. He then proposes that behind these fundamental forces, there must be a conscious and intelligent mind. This suggests that Planck saw the underlying principles of the universe as not just mechanical or random, but guided by some form of intelligence or consciousness. Finally, by stating that this mind is the matrix of all matter, Planck implies that this conscious intelligence is the foundational basis from which all matter originates. This can be interpreted as suggesting that consciousness or intelligence is a primary aspect of the universe rather than a secondary phenomenon that arises from material processes. That's the quote. All matter originates and exists only by virtue of a force which brings the particle of an atom to vibration and holds this minute solar system of the atom together. We can assume behind this force the existence of a conscious and intelligent mind. This mind is the matrix of all matter. Matrix, that's important. So, chance, where did this original code come from? Did it just unpredictably and without... Yes, sir.
I paused the time at 4:14.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if that's accurate because I got kicked off.
No, you good. All right, just give me 1 more minute, and I'm good. I promise.
And it because I was completely kicked off, but the timer when I came back, that's where it was right under 5 minutes, and I let you go for a little bit, but I wanted y'all to know I was kicked off. So if anybody else was keeping time, let me know if that's accurate. If not,
I only need another 2 minutes. I'm gonna read this slide and then I'll pass the mic.
Okay, and I was gonna say, Pan, I'll give you an extra 2 minutes just in case he did go over just a little bit because I got completely kicked off when I tried to open Pan PowerPoint. So
nah, you good.
Yeah, go ahead. I'll start you back over, and if
just 2 minutes, put it down to 2 minutes. I'm actually gonna I'm gonna just read this slide and I'll pass the mic. I'm good.
Well, just go, and then if you forfeit the rest of your time, that's fine.
Okay, I got you.
Okay.
Probability is the branch of mathematics concerning events and numerical descriptions of how likely they are to occur. The probability of an event is a number between 0 and 1. The larger the probability, the more likely an event is to occur. That's according to Wikipedia. Probability specifically. I'll link it if you need me to, or you can just Google it. Chance. The original code just unpredictably and without an observable cause just happened. The mathematical probability of that even happening is unfathomable, unfathomably small. Do you know how much has to be perfectly in line for a single gene to exist by chance? Let me give you a breakdown. A gene is typically ranged from 1,000 to as high as 10,000 nucleotides. You can Google that, long with some space in between. Many scientists currently agree that the earliest living life forms likely had between 300 and 500 genes. So 300 genes, using the minimal amount, would amount to about 300,000 DNA bases. The 2-deoxyribose in DNA determines the direction in which the backbone of it will spiral. Since organic molecules can be generated in both forms, the chance of obtaining all of one form or another in 300,000 bases is 1 in 2 to the 300,000th power. I can't even type it out for y'all to see how insanely small that is, because it would take up a ridiculous amount of slides. So what I did was I put it in a scientific notation. Do me a favor when you get a chance, screenshot that and put that shit in your calculator and tell me what it does. It's probably going to give you an E for error. So peep the scene. We have fantastically efficient systems that possesses data embedded within them that gives them the instructions to function in the natural world, impressively similar to and in many ways better than the technological advancements we utilize in our day-to-day lives. And we understand that the technological advancements we utilize every day were created and programmed by specialists. And my opponent would likely have us reject these similarities as evidence. Ladies and gentlemen, we got a problem on our hands. Are we supposed to reject all deductive reasoning capabilities to ignore these glaring similarities? Should we destroy every single definition in existence to substantiate my opponent's obvious bias concerning the matter? Are we expected to forsake our own ability to comprehend and analyze data at face value? I hope not. I truly hope not. The idea that he even brought my faith into question makes no sense because we talk about existence. What in the fuck does Jesus Christ have to do with the conversation? I don't know. We're talking about whether or not the higher power exists. We ain't talking about morality. We ain't talking about my behavior. And if we are talking about my behavior, fam, listen to me very carefully. I am not afraid of the punishment that will fall on me in the event that I must be held guilty for my actions. I'm stand up like that. I'm stand up like that. I'm built like that. I'll take whatever it is to come my way. Doesn't change my faith. Of course, I'd have some forgiveness and things of that nature to operate within, but you clearly don't understand the Christian faith, and it has nothing to do with this conversation. Does a higher power exist? Yes or no? Is there sufficient evidence to say that a higher power exists? Yes or no? I say yes. I cannot objectively state that a high power exists. I can't go grab his hand, bring him to you, and put him on camera. You can't deny that it exists either. But we can pay attention to these evidences. We can pay attention to these similarities. I rest my mic.
Right. And 31 seconds left. Do you want to say anything with that 30 seconds, or you want to go ahead and move on?
Nah, I'm good, G.
Appreciate All right. You. No doubt, no doubt. That was the Annihilator of urban apologetics. J.Faqz in the set the time. And Pan, I don't know if you heard what I said, but I actually got knocked off, so I'm gonna start your time at 12 minutes. I hope you feel that's fair. If you feel like you need more than that, let me know. Jamel, if you good with him getting 12, because like I said, I don't even know how long I was gone.
Give him 15.
Okay, I will give him 15. Pan, you good with 15?
Oh shit. My bad, I was asleep. What'd you say? 15? No, I probably won't need 15 minutes.
Wow.
Go ahead on it.
That's how you doing it. That's how you doing it. Okay.
Subscribe now.
Was you able to the thing that I sent you? Can you share that?
All right, give me 1 second.
And to the chat, I've sent the syllabus to what I'm talking about in the chat. Y'all can go ahead and follow along with what I'm talking about. Yeah, I had some technical difficulty, but we will move right past that in Jesus' name. How we look at D?
Give me 1 second, bro. Okay, I got it. Okay. You talking about what you sent me a messenger, right?
Right. Just real quick, hold off on that 1 second. I just wanted to respond to the question that he asked me first, right? Well, the question I asked him that he responded to, he wanted to gloss past it real fast. The question was, is it ever and you can start the time now. Is it ever permissible to lie to promote the Christian faith? And he said no real fast. He even interrupted just now to say no again. Except if you check the syllabus that I sent you guys, I'm not sure if you're able to see it in the chat, but at the very bottom, you'll find a list of biblical lies. All of the times that biblical prophets and biblical heroes lied and were rewarded for it. Starting off with the lie about the trees between good and evil and life and death, right? Saying that if you eat from this, you will die, and they didn't, right? And then you move on where Abraham lied about his wife. We know about that. We know about Rahab lying. We know about God lying in 1 Kings. You'll see the verses in there. 1 Kings 22:19-23, where he put this lying spirit on people, where you wouldn't even know you were lying if God did it. So if my opponent was lying to you right now, he may not even know it. So we're going to give him a pass on that. So that's the answer to that part that he glossed over fast as hell. Like I said, I have a list of times. We can discuss that in the question answer. Brother Bianchi, can you, we're going to throw back. Can you share that picture for me, brother?
Right. Give me 1 second.
Why are you doing that? He said, I didn't know what I was talking about was off topic. No, it's very much so about you. If you don't believe what you're saying, you shouldn't be up here saying it. And clearly you don't believe what you're saying because you're still saying craziness. Like, what are you saying? To answer the question that you asked me, was it more religious in the past in Africa? Yes. And you know what I'm saying? Yes, it was. And if you look right there at the screen, you can see that before colonial times, how the tribal lines were drawn, you know what I'm saying? The imaginary lines were drawn, and the different tribes and the different belief systems that would have been in there before Abraham would have been even in existence, right? And until the advent of Abrahamic religions into those little areas you see there, yeah, true indeed, it was a little bit more theistic, you know what I mean? And yes, people are moving away from the Abrahamic religions now, to answer your question. But there's reasons for that, and you see them on the screen. Okay, brother DMG, let me see if we can share that presentation. So everybody in the chat have been noticing all of the fallacies that the brother just knocked out, right? You know what I'm saying? Begging the question, God of the gaps fallacies. So it's clear that people are seeing that he is not presenting any evidence. And to answer Brother Steve, the topic is supposed to be evidence for sufficient evidence for a higher power, specifically the Christian God. And all he just did was give you can you make that big and put it on the presentation screen, please? Right. All he just did was give you a terrible version.
Okay.
Yeah, slideshow. All he did was give you a terrible version of the intelligent design argument, right? The watchmaker design, basically. And I see people in the chat that's with it. So they can call it the AI argument, right? But let's start with this slide. So an omnipresent, omnipotent, omnilingual, and omniscient God would know exactly what evidence to be presenting right now. We would not have wasted any of the time that we have wasted so far. He would have started off with evidence, bang, and we all would be like, wow, we really believe you, J.Faqz. You really got the facts. But no, we still here talking because he ain't present shit yet. Next slide. You should have prayed on it so he could have gave you the answer so we wouldn't even have to still be here. Okay, are we moving? Okay, boom. This is basically Pascal's wager. He's trying to convince you that his thing is correct. Next slide, please. We're going to fly through these, DFG. Keep your finger on the button. We're riding. This is like a machine gun. Right? So Pascal's wager is basically, hey, we should believe this because if we don't, there'll be some bad consequences. But what happens if you believe in the wrong belief? You still have not provided anything that deciphers your belief system from any of the others. You still haven't even proven a higher power. All that talk you just did right there just proves that there is something that you cannot prove what it is. Nobody knows the answer, and you're right. But you should have said that shit before you took this debate. Next slide. Let's get serious. Next one. Like I said, we will be moving fast through these joints because he ain't even at this point. Some of these slides is just so people can see him. Go on. We're gonna fly through these joints. Boom, right there. So the teleological argument is what he just went with. Okay, it's a terrible argument. It was terrible when Ray Comfort got slayed on it every single time. When you see him on TV, when you talk about the banana was perfectly designed for the human hand, it's ridiculous. Have you ever seen a builder without a building? We know how buildings are made because we saw the factories and the training facilities where those construction workers went. We know how phones work. We know how AI works. Okay. The thing is, we don't have the factory for your guy, do we? All you gotta do is show me. Otherwise, everything he just did was a false cause fallacy. Check. We don't need to go into the scientific this, that, and the third. You could just show me. And even if I agree that a higher power designed everything, you still have to tell me which guy. Next one, please, DNG. Now, when you really look at this design, is it really intelligent? When you find out, when you see the little pig at the top right there where his teeth and his horns is boring through his skull, how is that intelligent? Which fucking equation do you have for that? Humans are subject to the same thing if we don't go to dentists. Check. We got natural disasters and diseases trying to kill us all the time. The actual atmosphere, the sun is trying to kill us all the time. There's nothing intelligent about that design. And for all your scientific folks that love evolution and shit like that, there go your transitional whale fossil. All right, next slide. I just realized we had a whole thing was on intelligent design. Prove to me that your guy designed anything. Prove anything was designed. Check. We can just move on. The cosmological argument is nonsense because there is no type of understanding of what nothing is. Right now, we have a person who's sitting here trying to tell me that the thing that he's talking about is outside of time, space, matter, and energy, which is existence. Which is, if your thing is outside of existence, that means it don't exist. And if it interacts with the real world, you should be able to test it. If we can't test it, you shouldn't be telling me nothing about it. Next slide, please. Check the moral argument. He don't care about the moral argument because every time people have an issue with the moral issues in that favorite book of his, you know what I mean? They can't answer nothing because, of course, just like that meme say, the Bible got a problem with one of the following: genocide, rape, lobster, and slavery. The only one that it speak out against is fucking lobster. That's ridiculous. All right. Now, moving forward, when you talk about the moral authority, you know what I'm saying? How can we possibly understand the world without a God? Bro, we don't need that. The golden rule is in everything single system and culture around the world with no Christian moral. Check. And then you still have to tell me, right? Just like Gottfried Leibniz's version of the Euthyphro dilemma. Is something moral, good, and just because God wills it, or is it that God wills it because it's moral and just, meaning it's already in existence and he's just telling you about it? You have no way to answer that question. So until you do, you shouldn't be out here promoting this nonsense. It's morality in the animal kingdom, in the plant kingdom, and in the insect kingdom, without the evidence of a higher power. And for people that's in the comments asking what's the topic, he's supposed to be presenting evidence of a higher power, specifically the Christian God. Next slide, please. We're gonna move sort of quick through these next ones, bro, because this is an act in futility. I can't even believe he tried this. You still there, D? Next one. Next one, bro.
You want me to move past this one?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Like I said, we might slide through some of these, so just because I really just want to move fast. I'm really looking forward to him providing some evidence, because thus far he's failed terribly. Check. So presuppositionalism and biblical inerrancy is what's usually relied upon in these type of arguments, right?
5 minutes remaining.
Check. These are silly arguments in circular reasoning, right? Next slide, please. Circular reasoning is using something to say that the something is true, right? The Bible is divinely inspired because the Bible said so. And how do we know? Because the Bible is true. And we know that's true because it's divinely inspired. It's just a circular reasoning. Show me some evidence. It's basically Tevin Campbell scholarship. We don't have time for that. You know what I'm saying? We need some actual reasoning. Next one. Yes, Uncle Ben said, with great power comes great responsibility. It was Stan Lee in the comics. All right, ontological Mad Libs, you know what I'm saying? We don't need to go through all of this. You know, whatever God you can imagine, let him prove something. Go ahead, move to the next one. It's an hour-long presentation on each one of these slides. You can move to the next one and then the next one. Next one. Because see, the issue is we supposed to be sitting here seeing some evidence. No. Go back. These next two. How we looking on time? So evidentialism is supposed to be
3 minutes, 35 seconds.
Check. Evidentialism is supposed to be showing me some evidence. Normally they talk about an empty tomb, which proves nothing. They want to talk about martyrs, which proves nothing that except for that people believe something and they was willing to die for it. It means nothing. Next one. Right? So my question is, why exactly, if we believe that Jesus is this supernatural thing, why would he have come to earth? Right? The whole reason he would have come is to prove that he was this supernatural being. Otherwise, he could just put the thought in everybody's mind. But that's not what happened. Supposedly, he physically came down by birth the first time and then came back 13 more times to prove, right? So I know he's going to say that he can't prove nothing right now. However, an omniscient, all-powerful being could do that, and he supposedly did that already. Next slide, please. Check. Oral and textual composition. We can get into this into the question and answer, but when we talk about the truth of this, we need to figure out how do we know that the things that these people wrote down and were willing to die for was true. How do we have? We don't have evidence because there was one person who wrote down what other people told him. Check, right? Then they sat down and went around and started telling people about it, right? So you got 6 to 7 years before Paul's ministry, where there was an oral tradition, where all type of messages got mixed up and confused. Next slide, please. Right. So the councils, there were 9 councils before Nicaea. All right. So the entire doctrine, which is supposed to be the true doctrine of the way, was confused so much so that they had to have 9 councils to organize what this was. As a matter of fact, Brother Byron did a presentation about African Christianity. And those different Christianities throughout Africa were some of these that they were trying to say were heresies back at this time. Next slide, please. Check. Next slide. This one is excellent, but I won't save this for a discussion. And again, it's my position that my brother cannot prove that there is evidence, sufficient evidence for the Christian God because of all of those contradictions right there. There's over 400 documented contradictions in this book, in the whole doctrine, trying to tell me about the truth of this matter. So I don't need the mathematical equations. I don't need this book. I just need the sufficient evidence that of the higher power and specifically the Christian God. And these aren't memes. These are coming specifically from scholarly websites. As a matter of fact, again, I'll put the syllabus in the chat so you can go follow along. Those of y'all that's not. Next slide. We can move through real quick. I know I'm at the end. I just want to see how many more we got left.
That is time, but I'm gonna let you finish your thought.
Oh, that's the last one anyways. That right there just shows how there are textual inaccuracies that we absolutely know about. Everybody is in agreement with. There's complete consensus on the fact that things were added, taken away, switched around, specifically the Trinity verse by Erasmus. And I'll rest there.
All right, family. Like, share, and subscribe. If you haven't checked out the channel membership, hit that membership. If you haven't heard me say it before, we are doing our first raffle for a discounted trip to anywhere in the United States. Your stay at the hotel of choice will be discounted. My man Thomas White is in the chat. He was our first channel member, and he can testify to that discount. How you get there is up to you, but your stay will be discounted. I believe my man is going to Vegas. My sister Sakina Ra was the second member. She donated her trip. I believe my sister and her family are going to Miami for 4 nights at $80 for 4 nights. Shout out to all the channel members. Y'all check out that channel membership. I'll be doing that raffle every month. At least one person will be getting that discounted trip. The more members we get, the more people I'll be giving those trips out to. That being said, that concludes the first round of the Battle of the Ideologies. First debate. The name of the debate, for those who asked, is there sufficient evidence to support the existence of a higher power, specifically the Christian God? We are going to get into our second round. Just a second, family, bear with me. I have to pull up something for, this is just for myself. Make sure I'm on my P's and Q's. I'm gonna play a little bit of our favorite musician, the one and only Neo One Love, and we're gonna get right back with y'all. So bear with us. I will be right back.
Yeah. I know I got about 30 seconds to make y'all feel this before y'all turn it off these days. That I might not even release this. But I be doing this shit for me, help me get through. I feel like I give until I can't, but most don't recognize it till I ain't. Blood on them covers, she hoping paint. Sorry mama, but it ain't. This world took a toll on me, and everyone that say they love me always seem to fall on me. The same one that call me great, treat me like I ain't shit. I read between the lines, it's written all over your eyes. I see the disappointment in the eyes of the ones who want me dead, but I ain't never been scared, I tried to get there. Sometimes I wonder if I survived or did I die on that ride to that hospital. Demons all around me, I am not mental. This game of life, it is not simple. Last time I was happy, I was popping pills.
All right, family. So now we're going into our second round. 10 minutes apiece for each of our combatants. As a matter of fact, I apologize. We're going into the rebuttal round. Each of our opponents, well, y'all got to forgive me. I'm all messed up. I put this in the wrong order. We're going into our second round, 10 minutes apiece, and each debater will have 10 minutes, just like they did in the first round, to continue their arguments. We'll go into the rebuttals and question rounds after this, and we're going to start this time with your favorite atheist, the one and only Demus. We opened up with the Annihilator the last time. We're going to open up with Demus this time. Pan, you got 10 minutes. Time will start when you start.
Check, you can hear me? Check one.
We hear you loud and clear.
All right, you can bring me back where we was just at.
All right.
Fly.
Give me 1 second. Bring you back up.
Yes. And just for the judging of the thing, remember we supposed to be answering the questions. So to answer his second question to me.
All right. Time starting.
All right. I think it's 2 slides away right now. Go ahead and stop. Go to the next one. And Desiree, you could just leave for like 10 minutes and come back. Okay,
right.
No, wait, right there. Yeah, right there. So, wait, back up. Back up one. The philosophical one. Yeah. Okay, so the question is, why so philosophical, right? Why are we getting into these long diatribes? Why are we here? Why does Desiree feel like her ears is popping, right? The reason is, if there was evidence for a higher power, specifically the Christian God, he would have said that in the first 2 seconds of his discussion. Instead, we hear going through all type of these philosophical discussions. He got mathematical equations, right? The reason is we're so philosophical because all physical evidence provided has failed. He even admitted in the beginning of his first intro that he can't even provide evidence for this. He admitted to me in the chat that he wouldn't be able to convince me. He's here for the show. You know what I mean? And that's what I'm going to give him. So you see all these other physical things that have failed, utterly failed, to show the evidence for a higher power, specifically the Christian God. And they continue to fail. He won't show you anything physical moving forward. Next slide, please. So we get into these mathematical discussions and these philosophical debates where it's like, oh, well, what do you think about morality? And DNA has all of these different. Listen, bro, just show me your God or concede. Now, the question is, who else don't believe that Jesus is God? It's fine. It don't have to be you or me. or the knuckleheads in the group. Let's look at this. Next slide, please. First and foremost, we're going to start off with Chineke. Where we at? DMG, you with me? Next slide. Right. So Chineke. So all of the different traditional African systems, right? But on this particular discussion, I'm going to focus on Igbo, right? So they have a tradition that was handed down from ancestor to ancestor, divine revelation. They have scripture. They have miracles, in fact. And they have prophecies, right? That have come true that we can see today, specifically the Uga Azi, right? You have the yam and cocoa yam. Next slide real quick. That saved humanity after the son and daughter of the king were killed and were resurrected. Well, here you see the iron snake prophecies that told of the coming of the white man before they came. Yes, we should know about this as Black folks, but we have no idea because we worried about fucking Moses and Abraham. Why don't we know about Mugawa Kabiru, Masako, and Mwende Mwea? We don't know about them because we don't give a fuck. Because you really think that they doing something evil. I heard him say the other day he loved the story of Shango, but he know it's fake. Now, how you gonna disrespect the culture like that? Next slide. Check. The Zoroastrians don't know that Jesus is God. They don't believe it at all, as a matter of fact. What they thought at one point by the story of the Christian, the Christmas story, right? The three kings was Zoroastrians. Because in Zoroastrian mythology, there are messiahs that will be born. And they thought Jesus was supposed to be one of them. So that story actually ended up getting stuck in the Bible. But it's a Zoroastrian story, right? They didn't think Jesus was the highest power. They thought Ahura Mazda was the highest power, the greatest, the best, the fairest of all beings. You can find that in the Avesta, Fargard 19, verse 14. They too have divine revelations, scripture, prophecy, and miracles. Next. The Hindus, they don't give a fuck about Jesus, except for the fact that Krishna says that there are many paths to him. And there are many avatars of Vishnu and Krishna, right? And Jesus is possibly one. So they'll give him that he's an avatar, but he's definitely not the higher power. Check. All paths lead to Krishna in Hinduism. As a matter of fact, when we talk about the miracle situation, why don't you believe when Krishna lifted Govardhan Hill, saving the country from the rainstorm? Huh? Why don't you believe that? Next story. Yeah. So, the Asatru, they don't believe that Jesus is the higher power. Odin is called the All-Father. He's the father of all gods and men. You can find that in the Gylfaginning prose, in the Eddas, in stanza 9. Yes, you get the Odin, the runes from Freya the Seer. You got prophecy, ongoing prophecy, because currently we are in Ragnarok. And when Balder returns, he'll return light to humanity. Hello, you can find that in the Eddas. Check. Next slide. Now who don't believe that Jesus is the higher power? The Yisrael don't believe it. I see some Hebrews in the chat right now. He says, Yahweh says, for I am the Lord. I change not. He didn't say nobody else was Lord. We don't got to go through a lot of these, but go to the next slide. It's pretty interesting. Yisrael. So Yisrael seems to have, they don't even think that Jesus is the Messiah that they was talking about, let alone that God, let alone the highest God, right? There's a reason that they don't follow Jesus, right? Because they are waiting for HaMashiach to come, and he has yet to fulfill the things that a Mashiach was supposed to fulfill. Check. Next. Who else don't believe that Jesus is the highest power? What does that quote say? And this life is eternal. That they might know that the only true God and Jesus Christ, who they say. Go to the next slide, please. We're not even gonna mess around with this. You're not telling me that Jesus out his own mouth said he's not the true God and definitely not the highest power. Let's see what he's saying. out their own words. Here we have Jesus, Paul, and Peter. Paul says, "For there is one God and one mediator between God and man, the man Jesus Christ." Come on, man. Then you got Jesus out of his own mouth. Again, John 17:3, the only true God, right? John 5:44, the one and only God, speaking about Yahweh, right? Believe in God, also believe in me, separating himself from, we're not going to go through all of these. You can see it on the screen. Then we got Paul talking about there is no God but one. Check. And he's not talking about Jesus, because later on he's talking about Jesus. That's 1 Corinthians. Then we see in Ephesians, God the Father of all, who is over all, and in all, right? Next, you see Peter talking about Jesus of Nazareth, a man attested to you by God. God performed through him, the man. Next slide. This was in their own words, by the way. Right. And again, getting back to the other point that people in the chat and my opponent seem to miss. It is important that if Christians truly believe that they represent it well, because when we see Christianity out in the world, all we see is nonsense. And that's why you see people leaving Christianity at the highest rates ever in history. You're not supposed to be cursing according to Ephesians 4:29. How many times he was cursing in here? I don't give a fuck. I'm not Christian. Right? Right? You're not supposed to have braids. Interesting. My brother got dreads. All right. You're not supposed to have long hair. I remember that one. No anger, rage, or malice, or abusive language. Remember all that abusive language you see in the videos leading up to this? And he was so proud to tell you about the oath that he took. I swear you're not supposed to take no oaths. That's okay. But see, the thing is, a lot of times, remember I told you earlier about they're allowed to lie. See, because he knows that if he goes through all the nonsense, he can still just repent and get out of jail free. Let's go forward one more. Okay, this is where my slides messed up at, but that's cool. I think it's about to be the last one. So here, just because I'm an asshole, right? We can see an entire religion based around a cartoon, right? And again, with them, I heard you. We got scripture, we got prophecies, we got miracles, and we got doctrine. So what I'm saying is, you can stop the slides here. So my entire position is, this brother has not yet provided evidence for the highest power. I just showed you 6 different cultures, including Jesus himself, saying that he's not the highest power, right? I just showed you all of that. I also showed you that I've already paid the registration fee. We put in the application already. DMG will be the payee. If he can do in this next 10 minutes, show sufficient evidence, DMG will get $250,000, $750,000. If not, this dude might as well be asleep.
Finish your thought.
Oh no, I'm good. I was gonna say he might as well just stop. He shouldn't even say nothing if he don't plan on getting this $750,000 for you.
Hey, listen. I told y'all my man Demus was coming with the smoke. That being said, it's time for the Annihilator to put in his second round. Now the fun part is coming up, y'all. It's the 2 minute. I mean, it's the Q&A and the rebuttal time. So that's the fun part. We're gonna do the rebuttal first, and then we're gonna get into the Q&A. So just keep that in mind. But the Q&A is where these brothers actually get to go back and forth. And so y'all stay tuned for that. So right now, we're going to reset the clock at 10 minutes, and we're going to get in it with the Annihilator, J.Faqz. But Demus has shown up and shown out. Shout out to your favorite atheist. J.Faqz, my brother.
It's
Are
popping,
you
kid.
ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
All right. Time starts. When you start, let me know if you want me to show your screen.
Yeah, I'm actually going to share my screen, but I want to. You can stop my time the minute I share my screen because I want to address a couple of things real quick.
Okay. All right. Screen is shared. Time starts.
Yeah, so I'm not really sure what debate my opponent showed up to. I'm actually really confused because DMG, if you don't mind humoring me with the answer to this question really quickly, does the name of this debate say enough proof to prove that Jesus Christ is God?
No.
No, it doesn't say that. It doesn't say that. In fact, I think I have it in the beginning of my presentation here. Is there sufficient evidence to support the existence of a higher power, specifically the Christian God? Now, obviously, this young man has a loose grasp on exactly what Christianity is, and I'm not even arguing Christianity. I stated this early on in this list of things that I said I was not discussing because it has nothing to do with the topic. I don't have to prove that Jesus Christ is God. I'm not here to convert anybody. I'm not here to defend the faith. This is whether or not there's enough evidence for a higher power and whether or not it's the Christian God. That is literally the name of the topic. Literally. What that got to do with Christianity, I don't know, but let's address some things, fam. You said the Bible speaks against cursing. You don't have a firm grasp on the scriptures. I suggest you put it down before you cut yourself. That's a sword, son. However, my Bible, when it talks about cursing specifically, it's talking about actually wishing something ill on another person using your words. Cursing, as we understand it, profane language, of course. Profane language. Profanity, as we call it, is nonsensical. Do you know that the word fuck has a litany of applications? A litany of applications. Well, Jay, what does it got to do with Christianity? He brought it up, so let me address it. If I'm not mistaken, royal law, according to the scriptures, is love your neighbors, you love yourself. That fulfills the whole of the law. So if I'm sitting here and I'm not telling one of my fellow men, fuck you, then I'm not violating royal law. But if I'm in some pussy and I'm laid up with my black woman, I'm digging it out, and I'm like, fuck. Am I committing the same sin? Did I violate holy law according to Christian law? The answer to that is a resounding no. It's a resounding no. All you did was misappropriate scriptures in order to attack my character. That's an ad hominem, sir. That's an ad hominem. You couldn't even stick to the topic, fam. Does a higher power exist? I literally didn't even bring up any Bible scriptures in the entire first 14 slides of my presentation. Not once. I don't know why your advisors ain't forewarn you. Please, not Jay. He's not for play. This is grown man B.I. Get you rolled in the triage, biatch. Understand something. I made it very clear from the very beginning what my discussion was, and I stuck to the topic at hand. I have no clue what this man is talking about. But to continue with my presentation, because I don't see, did I mention God? Does anybody see? Did I mention God? Oh, you know what? I did mention God right here in my definitions, right here. I defined the word God from Merriam-Webster. That's the only time you see me mentioning the word God. The entire time, for the first 14 slides of my presentation, I was strictly focused on whether or not there's sufficient evidence to show that there's someone behind all living things. I showed quotes from German theoretical physicist Max Planck. I showed source code, defined it. I showed gene expression, defined it, sourced it as well. Asked the question, where did the initial code come from in the first living organisms? I showed this talking about plants, the human body, the human brain. I have not one time mentioned anything about Jesus Christ. In fact, I told you straight up, I have no desire to save anybody. Nigga, you can go to hell for all I care. I don't give a fuck. My Bible doesn't justify me having to preach to you against your will. In fact, it says verbatim in the scriptures that I only give you the answer if you inquire as to why I have a hope. The Bible don't say nothing about a presentation or a debate being the power of God unto salvation. Nigga, we're not even talking about salvation. It says the gospel is, and I ain't preached that shit not once. To my presentation, though. We fantastically have efficient systems that possess the data embedded within them that gives them the instructions to function in the natural world. Impressively, similar to, and in many ways better than, the technological advancements we utilize in our day-to-day lives. And we understand that technological advancements we utilize every day were created and programmed by specialists. And my opponent would likely have us to reject these similarities as evidence. You want me to reject these similarities as evidence? They're not enough. Remember earlier today, I said verbatim in my introduction, this entire discussion is completely subjective. And the reason for that is because sufficiency will vary from person to person. And I said it here when I communicated the points that I was discussing. Sufficiency is wholly subjective. An ice cube to a man in the desert is life-saving, while that same ice cube to a man with a cold Coke in his hand is unnecessary. It's the reason why the entire scientific community is split 50-50 concerning this very subject. Just as many as people support the idea of a higher power or a God, much like Max Planck, unless you're going to discredit all of his work and the things that he's done concerning physics. There's just as many on either side of the fence. And I stated this conclusively in the beginning of this conversation. I said he can't prove objectively that no higher power exists. And I can't prove objectively that a higher power does exist. All I can do is give data that shows the possibility of such and let you intersubjectively determine whether or not I've done so correctly or efficiently. I give you the higher power. I indicated to you DNA. I indicated to you source code. I drew the similarities between technology and the human body. I even showed you how it's defined. The human body is quite literally defined as a form of technology. Without it, we wouldn't even have the entire science study of bioengineering. To answer his second question, because I got to follow the rules. Is it possible to fall away from Jesus and be brought back by repentance? It depends. You ain't pay attention to the scriptures I put at the bottom of the page either, fam. I'm not wasting time with your questions all day. But to draw the parallels or begin drawing the parallels, now I'm bringing in the Bible. Hey, yo, Most High, is that you? And God said, let us make man in our image after our likeness, Genesis 1:26. And the Lord God formed man of the dust of the ground and breathed into his nostrils the breath of life, and man became a living soul. You must worship no other gods, for the Lord, whose very name is jealous, is a God who is jealous about his relationship with you. That's Exodus. For jealousy is the rage of a man. Therefore, he will not spare in the day of vengeance. That's Proverbs. Remember when I showed y'all earlier DNA and gene expression and how it affects your behavior too? These scriptures show a clear example of genetic distribution taking place and those inherited genes being expressed in behavior by the offspring. Even dogs get jealous. This directly parallels and fits what science says occurs genetically. Again, I didn't make this up. Gene expression, DNA. Behavior is also subject to genetic variations. The ways in which individuals differ in their intellectual abilities, personalities, and mental health are to a large extent functions of their inherited biological instructions. We see that expressed in the Christian Bible. We see literal gene expression and the passing of DNA from parent to offspring taking place in the Christian Bible. Have I mentioned Jesus Christ yet? I don't think so. I never mentioned him. Let's go back again. I knew you before I formed you in your mother's womb. Before you were born, I set you apart and appointed you as my prophet to the nations. That's Jeremiah. This scripture covers two things: that the higher power, specialist, engineer I showed previously is capable of conception. There was a forethought and planning in play prior to institution, similar to that of an engineer formulating a plan before construction. I knew you before I formed you. Programming. There was a set of instructions embedded within Jeremiah that he was set to carry out and function, similar to that of a programmer assigning code to a computing system. We also understand, as defined, that DNA is the genetic instructions that determines behavior and allows living organisms to develop, survive, and reproduce. It's one thing, and I got to give some props to the Nagas because they mentioned me in the comments, and then I'm going to go ahead and rest my mic. It's one thing I will give them props for about electromagnetism and how it's in everything, right? Now, they believe that electromagnetism is God, and I beg to differ. I don't believe electromagnetism is God. However, I will say, again, according to gene expression and DNA, Go back to the definition. It was passed down from the father to his children. Shout out to King Naga. I rest my mic.
And that was with 20 seconds to spare. Shout out to the Annihilator. And ladies and gentlemen, that is the second round. We now move into the question and, well, my bad. We move into the rebuttals and questions, period. So each participant will have 10 minutes to question their opponent and respond to their arguments. So we started out with the Annihilator. We then went to Pan. We are going to go back to the Annihilator for this section. So now I just want to say, in this section, you are required to answer each question. You will get 10 minutes to ask as many questions as you can. Your opponent, if he doesn't answer the question sufficiently for you, you can just simply move on to the next question. You don't have to linger. You don't have to have a mini debate. You can simply move on, or you can spend as much time on that question as you want to. It is up to you. It is your 10 minutes to do with what you want to. Annihilator, it is on you. The time will start when you start. You have 10 minutes to question your favorite atheist, Pan Demus.
Roger that. Roger that. I appreciate the opportunity. What's going on, King? That's my first question. How you doing, Pan?
I am awesome after this victory. But go on.
Amazing. That's amazing. I'm glad. I'm glad. First question, you're a Garveyite, right?
Yes, sir.
You are. You're also an atheist, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. Garvey was a theist, wasn't he?
As far as all documentation is concerned, yes.
He is a theist. He is a theist.
Okay.
He was also pro-black and emphasized being pro-black in everything that he was doing, including his faith, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. How do you rationalize being an atheist given the historical allocation of it, where it stems from and what it did to Africa, with you being a Garveyite?
Interesting question. First and foremost, as a Garveyite, we don't follow a man. All right. We're currently on our 11th president general. So just because we call ourselves Garveyite, that's just the name of the nation. Understand that. We're not following a man. Also, in the beginning of Garveyism, there was all doctrines that Black folks believe, right? So as a Christian, as a Muslim, a lot of times they feel like you can't be unequally yoked with others under those belief systems because of what the doctrines say, you know? But Garvey said, damn all that. Matter of fact, Malcolm X has a great quote. He says, no matter what you believe in, you could be atheist, you could be a Christian, you could be a Muslim. And back in the day, Garvey had voodoo priests with him, right? You could be all that and be a Black nationalist because that's what's primary. What you believe in, specifically the things that you can't prove, is way secondary.
Got you, because you eating up mad time. I appreciate you
explaining. Take as long as you need. I
appreciate you. Thank you so much for your explanation. When do we see atheism first being expressed historically?
Seeing it expressed historically?
Correct. When do we see atheism first expressed historically?
I don't have a specific date for you, but I can tell you that based on the map that I showed earlier with all of those different tribal lines drawn.
You don't know. That's fine.
Based on the map that I showed you earlier with the tribal lines drawn, you would see that if pre-colonialism, it would have been more prevalent than it is today.
I got you. You don't know. Understood. Tracking, right? The first public atheist, first one to open his mouth and actually say he was an atheist, is a German man named Matthias Knudsen during the Enlightenment era. I'm not sure if you're familiar with that, but that does lead me to my next question. Who is considering themselves as delivering enlightenment to the nation, the disjointed nation of Africa?
Delivering enlightenment?
Enlightenment, correct.
What do you mean by enlightenment?
Enlightenment? You don't know what enlightenment is?
What do you mean by enlightenment?
I mean what it means definitively. According to history, the Enlightenment was taken to the disjointed nation of Africa. And I'm asking you, who did it?
If you mean the Enlightenment era, that's something different than enlightenment being brought to the people. So be specific.
It's commonly called the Enlightenment, but by all means, do whatever you need to. Answer the question. If you know what is the Enlightenment era, answer the question.
Well, I'll put it to you like I'll answer the question. The Igbo Enlightenment happened possibly 5000 BC.
This has nothing to do with the question. My question is very simple. No, it doesn't.
When enlightenment was given to the Igbo people, right? In the Igbo, the first people, when they got enlightenment, it was approximately 5000 BCE.
Stop the time. Let me stop the time. Hold on. Listen. Right now, it's Jamel 10 minutes to question. Pan, I just need you to answer. We can't get into a mini debate.
I was just trying to get my sentence out.
I got you. So when it's time to move on. Pan, you will have the same authority when you have your 10 minutes. So let's keep that in mind. I'm gonna start the time back up.
Appreciate you. Rephrase the question. According to history, there is a group of people that brought enlightenment to the disjointed nation of Africa. Who were those people? And when did that happen?
It feels like you have an answer, so just give it.
Sure. According to history, it was done primarily by France, the European movement, of course. You can Google this. This is easily Googleable, right? They also attribute themselves as the ones who brought intellect to Africa, the disjointed nation of Africa. This is documented. This is Googleable. All this is Googleable, right?
Okay.
Right? Prior to colonialism, listen to this question very carefully. Prior to colonialism, was atheism found in Africa, or were people simply irreligious?
Were people simply irreligious?
That's the question. Irreligious. All right, because that's what history says, right? I appreciate your intellectual honesty. However, right, it is commonly known, would you agree, that for millennia, African peoples have associated nature and natural phenomena with the supreme God? Yes or no?
On the majority, yes.
Yes, they did. Yes,
they did.
Yes, they did. Yes,
I actually already answered this in my presentation.
So I'm curious. I know you did. I know you did.
I know you know I did. I'm not sure why you're wasting people's time.
We having a conversation here, King. It's all right.
Prove this God, bro. Don't conversate with me.
Listen, this is a question section. I already did my presentation, fam.
You was finished?
Section. This is the question section. Just relax yourself, right? Right? So here we go. We got a Pan-African atheist who follows, obviously, you following European ideologies, being an atheist, and also calling
that's ridiculous.
Hold on one second.
No, that's ridiculous.
Hold on, let me finish. I got my question. Can I ask my question?
Go ahead and finish, but just know it's ridiculous while you're talking.
I don't care if you think it's ridiculous or not. I'm asking my question, fam. I'm asking my question, right? Now, you're Pan-African. You consider yourself Pan-African while also an atheist following the, let's call it, European ideology of atheism, right? Because we already know historically it's irreligious in Africa, not atheism. Atheism doesn't come until the advent of colonialism. That is historical fact. You can Google this. My question to you, sir, right? If Garvey himself, according to you moments ago, didn't really care about the beliefs of those that were with him, right? And he had sought to unify Black people across the diaspora,
right?
How do you find yourself in this position, not emulating his behavior with those that believe in Jesus Christ?
What are you talking about? The very first conversation me and Darian on your team had was me introducing him to the president of the Baltimore division. Get your fucking facts straight, bro.
Yo, fam.
Fam, nothing. Prove this guy.
No, I got you.
Prove this
Here's the
guy.
situation, right? Here's the situation, right? Here's the situation, though, right? Here's the situation. You stated, right, that you do look for unity with Christians. However,
Of course.
here's the thing.
I told you.
Yo, fam, hold on a second. I actually know you well. Don't make me expose you to the ones that don't know you. I know you really well, fam.
But you do, which makes this question even crazier.
Hear me out real quick. That means that I'm aware of certain things, right? Much like your disdain and absolute hate for Abrahamic faiths. Am I not aware of this?
Disdain?
Yes, you said it. I know, fam. We have it on video, my guy. Do you or do you not possess? I got the screenshots. I can post it on here right now.
DMG, pause the time. DMG, pause the time. Please pause the time. Because I want him to have back it up to like 50. 150.
Nah, so I don't need no extra time. I don't need extra
because I want to answer your question.
I want to answer the question. Answer the question.
It's not going to be a yes or no. I'm going to tell you like this, right? I do believe that the Abrahamic faiths are actually a detriment to Black people, not only historically, but currently right now. That does not take away from me saying that Black people need to unify to do better for ourselves. And whatever you believe, you can go ahead on and believe it. Don't tell the pan man that you got fucking evidence when you don't.
I got that.
You can start his time back.
I did my presentation, fam.
You can start his time back.
You can go rewind it back. You can go rewind it back and watch for yourself. I'm not doing the presentation over. This is a question section, right? So my next question to you is simple, right? Where did the original code in the first living organisms come from?
Just like you said earlier, nobody knows that.
Okay, but based on what we understand, does DNA not need to be present and encoded for any organism of any kind to be able to survive? Yes or no?
Say that again.
Does DNA not need to be encoded in any organism in order for it to adapt and survive? Yes or no?
Yeah.
It does. It does. Can any living organism adapt without the code inside of it genetically? Yes or no?
No.
It cannot. It can't. So if we can argue, let me not even argue that. How does a computer operate?
1 minute.
What kind of code do computers use? Just pick one. I don't care. Any of them. If you know
Binary.
It. Binary. Right? So computers communicate and operate based on ones and zeros. It has to be put there by a programmer, does it not?
Yeah, exactly.
It does. It has to be put there. I don't need no more time. I'm good. I appreciate you answering my question.
Please take this last 40 seconds to prove this guy, the Christian guy.
I did my presentation. You rewind it and watch it for yourself.
Where?
I'm not doing this.
Oh my goodness. He about to stop
Pan. All right,
oh
Pan.
my goodness. How much time I got, dude?
The time, I'm 85 minutes. It's supposed to be 10. Okay, the time is now going to turn over to you. That was the Annihilators question round. I gave y'all some headway with the back and forth. I'm gonna do the same. Shout out to my man Domo in the building. I gotta holler at Domo about what he thought about Biden performance in the debate. Maybe we can have another the politics of Black people with him and Leandre. Let me know if we can do that, Domo. But I'm gonna give y'all the same leeway this time around, Pan. So I hope we can keep the same energy with regards to the back and forth. That being said, it's 10 minutes.
Yes.
Your favorite. He's still around, Domo. He's still around. He was gone for a little while, but he just made a return. So you actually just in time. He just came back last week. So we're going to get that together. But your favorite atheist, the animated assassin, Pan Demus, is now going to question the Annihilator. And time will start when you start.
Excellent. Now, you did say rewind. I would like to know at which point you deciphered the Christian God from the other deities that I presented.
I don't know.
What point do you think that you made in the presentation that you think where you showed that the higher power was the Christian God?
I don't know.
So you don't remember anybody in the chat? If you saw in this presentation him prove that there is a higher power and that it's the Christian God, put number 1 in the chat. Because what ended up happening was a lot of times in the especially in the chat, I saw people confused because of my presentation. People didn't understand that the arrogance and the hubris of this Christian thinking that he would just be able to come prove the higher power, specifically the Christian God, was why he took the debate without asking me to present any other position, as a matter of fact. So he never, at one point ever, asked me for an opposition position. So his whole plan was he knew he was going to be able to prove it. So this whole time that you saw him speaking, excuse me, bro, I'm talking, bro. Well, you seem to not know things, so we're going to let you
Where the
rock.
questions at?
So,
I'm trying to.
well, my question was, did you have something that you wanted to add about proving the higher power? Oh, I got it, DMG.
Let me pause the time. Let me pause the time. Hey, J.Faqz, is his 10 minutes.
It sure
Let
is.
him do what he want to do with it.
I'm sorry, is this not the Q&A? Am I mistaken?
Now, Pan, I am suggesting that you ask questions because that is the purpose.
Right.
But it's
just want him to answer. If he gonna keep saying, I don't know, I don't need to waste time with him.
Time will start when y'all start back up.
Check. One more time. Is it okay to lie to promote the Christian God?
It is never okay to lie to promote the Christian God.
Never. So is there instances in the Bible where I can show that people have lied and were not only blessed for it, but rewarded later?
People lying just to lie and people lying to promote the Christian God are two completely different things. I don't know how you.
I know, that's why I asked you about lying to promote Christianity. No, I know it's a difference.
And I answered that question. You said, is it ever okay to lie about promoting the Christian God? That was the question. The answer is no.
No, the next question was, is there verses that I can show where that is the case?
You can show me Bible verses where people in the scriptures are lying to promote God.
Yes.
Okay.
DMG. Matter of fact, let's just do it. Ain't no need to wait. So everybody in the chat, I did share the syllabus. I'm not going to share it again, but if you can see my screen, I'm going to share my screen and you can see a whole bunch of different verses there. You see God's lie in Genesis 2, verse 17. You see Genesis 3, verse 22. Moving forward into the New Testament. Into the New Testament, you see Joshua 2, verse 4 through 6. You see Matthew 1, verse 5. You see James 2, verse 25. You see God putting lies in people's, in prophets' minds. Check. And you see it again in 2 Thessalonians 2, 11 through 12. Matthew 10, 22 through 23. So more God deception in Romans, right? In Romans and Isaiah.
All right, Pan. So now,
I got you.
Are you taking this opportunity to continue the debate, or are you asking J.Faqz questions?
I was asking him a question and he lied again. I just wanted to show that he was lying. Okay, moving forward. And the reason I said that was because, of course, he would lie to promote Christianity. And here we are. So my second question was about leaving Christianity, falling away. And he said sometimes. What are those times when it's okay to fall away and come back?
It depends.
On?
Variable factors.
Like?
A bunch of variables.
Okay, so again, what we gonna do?
Here's what we're gonna do, right? Since you're asking that question, when is it okay for you to get redeemed back to Jesus Christ? Right?
Yeah.
Because we're talking about Christianity now. We ain't talking about existence no more.
Yeah, you had days to answer this. You had days.
I got you. We're talking about Christianity now, not the existence of God. Got it. So the answer to your question is simple. If a person is already a Christian and they go back to sinning as crazy as they were prior to being a Christian, the Bible actually condemns that in Hebrews, and I can show it to you if you like.
No, I don't need you to show it to me.
Okay, all right. Now the next answer to that question is: there's also a such thing as the unforgivable sin, where you cannot be forgiven. Right. I can show. Can I show that, or you good? You
just want me to keep answering? Okay, so
the last part of this is very simple, where a person actually has a contrite heart and they're repentant, according to the definition in the Bible, in the Greek or the Hebrew, and they're repentant, and they can.
Thank you very much.
And they can be restored back to where they once were. Correct.
That's an excellent answer. So everybody in the chat, Hebrews 6 verse 4-6 says, "For it is impossible." It doesn't give you any different shit that he was just saying. It says impossible. And that does show, I heard you. Someone in the chat earlier said, "Oh, did he show a verse where there was a contradiction?" Yeah, there's fucking one. And in my presentation, I showed a Bible Viz study that shows over 400 contradictions. So it's not about people hating God and wanting to turn their back, or even hating the Abrahamic faith, which I do have issues with. Trust me, because I feel like they are a detriment to our people. But there are definite intellectual issues with the doctrine, specifically the contradictions that would have been around in those times when the oral traditions was getting bounced around like the telephone game. Check. So now,
I'm waiting for an answer if you got some questions for me.
You're waiting with an answer. What you want to answer? Do you have proof for you? Okay. Here, I got a question. Where in this presentation did you show the existence of a higher power, specifically the Christian God?
I showed similarities in the presentation throughout the entire presentation.
But I showed you. Okay, so where did you differentiate between? Where did you differentiate between Jesus and Odin?
I never mentioned Jesus Christ because the topic is not discussing Jesus Christ.
The topic is higher power, specifically.
The topic has nothing to do with Jesus Christ.
Can we get a pause? Can I just get a pause real quick? I got a question for you as a moderator. DMG. You pause me? Can you just restate the title of the debate one more time, please?
Okay. The title of the debate is there sufficient evidence to support the existence of a higher power, specifically the Christian God?
Whose God?
The Christian God.
Excellent. Okay, you can start to play the time again. I just need to make sure we get that going because his ass was lying again.
Who's the Christian God? Who's the Christian God?
Lying again.
Who's the Christian God?
This ain't got nothing to do with Christianity. This ain't got nothing to do with Christianity.
Who is the Christian God?
Fact,
who is the Christian God?
Of the debate.
Who is the Christian God?
Excuse me, sir. I could have swore this was my time. I remember in the beginning of this.
You're faking right now.
Excuse me.
Hey, who's the Christian God? Who's the Christian God?
Moderator. So in the beginning of this, he had a choice of 12 topics that was given to him. He chose this one
the Christian
specifically.
God's name is Jehovah.
Oh my goodness! What is happening right now?
Christian God, man.
What is happening?
Let me stop the time again. Okay, so Pan.
Yes.
I'm gonna ask one more time. Are we continuing the debate, or are we asking J.Faqz questions?
I was trying to ask him a question. He cut me off.
So from this point on, we at the 252 mark. Let's ask questions to J.Faqz. Let him answer, and keep it moving. Time starts.
So, as far as you're concerned, who is the Christian God?
Jehovah or Yahweh, depending on the pronunciation you choose.
And in this debate, where did you show that Jehovah or Yahweh was the higher God?
Right at the bottom part of it.
So, in comparison to Chineke, Odin, and those other miracles and all those other things that are comparable to what you are claiming, you think you just differentiated how?
I made a clear distinction showcasing at the very bottom part because I didn't talk about the Christian God at all until the end of the conversation. The presentation.
That's the whole problem. That's what I'm trying to get at.
I'm answering your question. Let me clarify. I don't know. I got you. I showed that a higher power exists throughout the entire presentation, and then I drew the similarities to show the Christian God. That's exactly what I did. That's called deductive reasoning. It's where you draw a line. You know how to draw a line, right? You failed to do that throughout.
Okay. All right. So deductive reasoning. We're gonna go back in here one more time to the chat. If y'all feel like y'all seen this line being drawn, please put a 1 in the chat. I'm interested to see what y'all thinking. But what I heard was the teleological argument, which was the watchmaker argument, which has been debunked thoroughly a million times. What I heard was a mathematical equation.
I never talked about creationism at all.
What I heard you talk about was a mathematical equation that had anything to do with a higher power or a Christian.
I never mentioned Christian Science at all, not once.
I never.
Watchtower argument.
He brought up the gene. Oh my goodness. He brought up the gene thing that Jolanda in the chat pointed out was nonsense. I didn't see.
She don't know what the fuck she talking about.
Oh my God.
You really don't either. This is basic biology.
Listen, you're the perfect representative of Christianity. You're the perfect representative.
Biology. You're right. I am the perfect. Let me tell you why.
You're right, because what you're doing is proving exactly why people don't fuck with Christianity. Because look at you. Like, listen at you right now. Even right now with my time going, and I know when I'm getting ready to ask you another question, you trying to overtalk.
Ask the question.
It's a deceptive tactic that you're trying to do right now, just so I can't ask you another question.
So ask the question.
I didn't need to ask you other questions anyway.
So you just wanted to talk to me. I missed you too. We having a great conversation. How's your Saturday going?
Since you didn't prove any of this, we're not gonna go ahead on and send this video.
Everybody doing well, fam? What you
oh my today? God, DMG. You know what, DMG? I'm gonna let y'all have this. I'm gonna let you have this, DMG. Since we're not gonna get nowhere with cussing. Go ahead. Definitely argumentative, Lone Wolf, for sure. It's cool. Nah, go ahead. You can stop it. I know it's all right, bro. You go ahead and stop it, man. Ain't no need to let it ride out. Because he purposely gonna try to overtalk me. It's cool.
Y'all both doing the same thing. I don't understand what the. I don't hear no questions being asked. I hear a back and forth.
Yes, that's exactly what it was.
So I'm confused. I don't understand
about
where was the questions. I asked a few times if we was going to continue the debate or if it was going to be more questions asked, but yeah. All right. So now we at the rebuttal portion of the debate. I'm gonna set the time at 5 minutes.
I give the floor to King Fan Demus. He can start if he needs to, unless he want me to start first. Don't matter.
J.Faqz, it's on you. You got 5 minutes to rebut what you heard in this contest. Anything from the 2 rounds to the Q&A, you can rebut it in these 5 minutes. The time will start when you start. But before you start, I want to say this. This was a very good contest. Obviously, I expected it to be contentious. I gave a lot of leeway. I interjected, but no matter how many times I interjected, the energy remained the same. So for the judges, I want to say this. I'm imploring you, do not take off from Pan nor J.Faqz for any of the hypeness that ensued, because as I said at the beginning, this was probably the fiercest rivalry going into the tournament, probably the most contentious contest going into the tournament. These brothers have probably been teaming and chomping at the bits to get at each other for months now, at the very least weeks. So don't take away from these brothers because of the aggression that they displayed, nor for my lack of intercepting after a while, because it just got to the point where it was like, all right, this how it's gonna be. Let them rock. And so please don't hold that against them. That's just the energy that they have as it relates to each other. J.Faqz, you got 5 minutes to rebut everything you heard in this contest from your favorite atheist, the animated assassin, and then we'll turn it over to him to do the same.
Roger that. Roger that. So you can start. You can start. So, this was interesting to say the least. I thought we were discussing whether or not a higher power, specifically the Christian God, existed. We ended up talking about whether or not the Christian faith was valid. We ended up talking about Paul, Peter, Paul, John, Jacob, Matthew. I really don't know what the hell we was discussing. But we were supposed to be talking about whether or not there was sufficient evidence for a higher power, specifically the Christian God. And I find it really interesting that instead of addressing whether or not there was sufficient evidence, he decided to just attack Christianity. I don't know what the fuck that had to do with the conversation. I don't know what that had to do with the debate. I don't know what that had to do with anything. It was whether or not there's sufficient evidence to prove that a higher power, specifically the Christian God, exists. I took my time to simply draw those parallels, show similarities in technologies and biology, show how we have the ability to engineer the human body. If you can't engineer things that can't be engineered. I'm not really sure, to be honest with you, what I could even rebuttal about what he was saying, because he did not talk about the topic at hand. He tried to make the Christian God Jesus Christ. He tried to make the Christian God Jesus Christ. I'm not really sure. I'm not really sure what his point was. I don't know what direction he was going in. It is not my responsibility, according to the parameters of this debate, to prove Jesus Christ is Lord. That wasn't the question of the debate. That wasn't the question of the debate. According to Christian law, there are three in heaven that testify. And the Most High God, the Father, his name is Jehovah, Yahweh. That is who I brought evidence for in order to draw parallels to this higher power evidently shown in natural sciences, natural existence, the natural world in general. I don't really understand what he was aiming at. I don't know why he decided to talk about behavior, my behavior particularly. I don't know why he decided to talk about sin and all kinds of other stuff. I have no clue what any of this has to do with the topic. I don't know how anything that he was discussing disproves God. Like I stated at the very beginning of the presentation, he could not objectively disprove God, no more than I could objectively prove God. All I can do is allow the judges to intersubjectively look at the data and determine if I presented it correctly, right? That's the point of a debate. That's the point of the debate, right? Whether or not I put together the information correctly for them to see what it is that I got going on. I don't know what this man was discussing. I have no clue.
2 minutes.
What he was aiming for. I'm not really sure what he was hoping to achieve, just flat out attacking Christianity. I stated early on what my position was. I stated very clearly what I wasn't doing. And then I showed evidences. I didn't show anything from the Bible throughout my presentation until the bottom, when I had to draw the parallels between this higher power and the Christian God. That's it. I really don't understand where he was going with it. It was actually really confusing. I enjoyed the Q&A session, though. That was a lot of fun. I enjoyed the Q&A session. That was a whole lot of fun. I had a blast with the Q&A session, but I can't. It's literally impossible for me to rebuttal against the things he was saying, because none of the things he was addressing had anything to do with the topic of debate. Literally. Is there sufficient evidence that a higher power, specifically the Christian God, existed? He was supposed to show that there wasn't, and he went straight into attacking Christianity. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I'm gonna rest my mic though.
Right. All right. So, hey, J.Faqz, I think you had an awesome debate. What the judges say. For now, it's on your favorite atheist, the animated assassin, and you wanted me to show my video, so let's go to it.
Yeah. Sister Mika, he didn't show none of that. That's the problem, right? So let's see, it might be back. Let's see, we're gonna go back. Yeah, like 10 slides. Like it says, I think it's 35 if it's numbered on your side.
Yeah,
Right. So he wondering.
You said 35.
Go back like
right?
10. Yeah, go back like 10 slides to the beginning of this series right here. Where it's got the 6 different in a box. Yeah, just keep going. So the brothers was wondering why I'm showing all this. The reality of it is he just lied again. I didn't go in attacking anybody. What I did was show other comparable religious systems around the world who do not believe that the Christian God is the highest power. Okay, I gave you 6 and I spoke about 2 others, right? So starting from right there, you got a group of people who, yes.
The right slide?
Yeah. But actually, just go on to the next one. I'm going to run through these while I'm talking.
Okay.
So, again, I did not attack Christianity. What I did was attack apologetic arguments, right? So pay attention and focus. I know you had an idea where you was going to come out here and attack all these atheist ideas. You want to act like I'm following some sort of white man's whatever. Nah, bruh. Prove that the Christian God that you believe in is the highest power. I showed you Chineke. It's a whole system of people who do not believe that your Christian God, whichever one you want to say is your Christian God, because I heard you being vague when we was getting into the topic discussion. I knew you was going to try and pull that deceptive move. That's why I purposely didn't attack Christianity. What I did was show traditional African systems that are comparable with scriptures, divine revelations, prophecies, and miracles. Tell me why that's not the highest power. How do I know the difference? Go to the next one, please, and skip 2. Right? How do I know the difference between the thing that you're talking about and Ahura Mazda? They say that they have the highest power, not the Christian God that you're talking about. Ahura Mazda has divine revelation, prophecy, scripture, and miracles that are comparable to the things that you're talking about. You did nothing to separate what you believe from what they're talking about. You did not show that the Christian God is the highest power, whatever you want to call it. Next. And for everybody that's confused, the reason I did this the way I did it was because he never asked me for another point. Remember, it's his hubris. He thought he was going to come out here and just give y'all a sermon and y'all was like, yeah, I believe something, so I'm going to believe him. Nah, tell me why the Krishna lifting Govardhan Hill is not more convincing than Jesus being resurrected. People said they saw it. There's eyewitnesses. There's scriptures. There's history of it. And people are over there right now dying over Lord Ram's birth. Right now. So as far as martyrs is concerned, and then I showed that map specifically to say it's entire cultures that was decimated, completely wiped off the map. You would never know what they believe. Okay. And it is because of the influx of these new religions. Move to the next one. I'm not talking about Jesus. Again, it's knuckleheads in the chat. Jesus. He said the Christian God is the highest God. I'm showing you comparable evidence for other gods that claim to be the highest God. And I need you to show me why yours is higher than them. I can show you in the Gylfaginning that Odin says he's the highest power. You know what I'm saying? So I never said Jesus was God. What I said was in his own words. He definitely said he wasn't. Right? But you didn't say anything in response to these people, these non-attacks on Christianity. None of this is attacks on Christianity. All of this is showing different religions that definitely do not believe that the Christian God is the highest God. And you showed nothing this entire discussion to say that Jehovah, Yahweh, or whatever you want to call him, is the highest God in comparison to Odin, Ahura Mazda, Chineke. You did nothing. You did nothing to say anything about any of that. How much time we got? So again, to get in, okay, just real quick to get into that nonsense argument, he was talking about following a white man's theology or ideology. Atheist means I don't believe what you're saying. The word atheist, yes, was created in a certain time period.
I paused your time. You still want to show your screen?
Oh no, you can pull that down. Thank you for that. Atheism, the term atheism, yes, was created in a certain time frame, and the term went along with it. It spread around, yes. But just like the letter J was not in existence at one time, today you're talking about Jesus, right? So that's the most ridiculous fucking argument I ever heard in my life, because someone who is irreligious does not have a religion, just like an atheist does not have religion. It's the same fucking thing. Like to try and play that little word game is ridiculous. And to disrespect black nationalism, I mean, Malcolm already told you, you can be atheist and be black nationalism. He's one of Garvey's best students. How crazy are y'all? And I'm definitely going to get back to that in a later presentation. And I'll rest on 10 seconds. Count him out. Knockout.
Demus, the animated assassin, the Annihilator, J.Faqz. It's been a powerful debate. The opening round of the battle of the ideologies. Who wins, who loses? Somebody is going to get selected to face the top man in this tournament, the one and only Zion, the Lion. I ain't talking about Zion Lex. I'm talking about the real Zion, the Lion. If you didn't know who I was talking about, I'm talking about the real Zion, the Lion. Just so you know.
I'll make a pact with you, with the gods as our witnesses. Let us pledge that the winner will allow the loser all the proper funeral rituals.
There are no pacts between lions and men.
There are no pacts between lions and men. And so the loser of this debate, their fate will be in the hands of Zion the Lion, along with the loser of the Lord Benu A1 debate. You don't want your fate in the hands of Zion the Lion. So who wins and who loses? That is the question. Again, it's been a powerful, powerful contest. And so, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to let these gentlemen close out. I'm going to give them 2 minutes each to tell you why the judges should side with them. We're going to start with your favorite atheist, the animated assassin, who I got to say, I've never seen this brother put down his demonstration. I was mad impressed with the Demus African. His voice kind of throws me off, but I was mad impressed. So let me set the timer to 2 minutes. You got 2 minutes, my brother, to tell us why you and not Mr. J.Faqz won this debate and should move on in the Battle of the Ideologies tournament. Time will start when you start.
Check. It's quite simple. Again, there was rules. First of all, there was a topic, right? He was supposed to prove the existence of a higher power, specifically the Christian God. Everything that he said can be said for every deity that I showed, so it didn't separate the Christian God from any of them. He didn't answer my questions according to the rules sufficiently, pun intended, right? And as far as, you know what I'm saying, the things, the problems that I was having with my presentations was one thing, right? But that doesn't take away from the fact that he did not present sufficient evidence for anything. Everything that he said has a naturalistic explanation. You don't need a higher power to do any of the things that he said. As a matter of fact, he just conceded again that he does not know if those things that he even hopes to be true are true, right? And what he should have done is just said, I really don't know, and I shouldn't be out here trying to act like I do. Because it tells you in the book as well, you shouldn't be out here fronting, which he's doing. You should not be out here doing this. So, you know what I'm saying? It was a good victory. You know what I'm saying? As I said, everybody thought he won, that he presented his case well. Could have put a 1 in the chat. There was no 1s in the chat. So again, all I had to do was come up with something to say in response to this dude, because it was clear that he never knew enough to present sufficient evidence for something that nobody had sufficient evidence for thousands of years. I mean, get the fuck out of here. How arrogant can you be? And again, I shared the verse in the chat that corrected him about foul language, because that verse that he was talking about is not the verse that I was talking about, because they've specified jest and malice and foul language, not cursing someone like a spell. Have a nice day.
And that is time. Let's get it reset. And now for the Annihilator of the urban apologetics movement. I knew this brother was going to come with the smoke. The first time I seen him on here, he brought the smoke to my mans and them over in Naga. He's been bringing it ever since. This was the battle that I thought it would be. That being said, my man J.Faqz, tell us why you believe you did what you had to do in this contest. Time will start when you.
Sure, let me share my screen real quick, fam.
All right.
Let me know when you can see it. If you can see it, I'm gonna pop this up.
Gotcha.
All right. You can see it?
Yes, sir.
Cool. So, something that my opponent stated was that everything that I said could be applied to every other god that he listed. And I don't disagree. In fact, the Bible agrees too. Acts 17, 22 and 24. So Paul, standing there before the council, addressed them as follows. Men of Athens, I noticed that you are very religious in every way. For as I was walking along, I saw many shrines, and one of your altars had an inscription on it, to an unknown God. This God whom you worship without knowing is the one that I'm telling you about. He is the God who made the world and everything in it. Since he is Lord of heaven and earth, he doesn't live in man-made temples. I could sit here and draw parallels nonstop, showcasing the dizzying similarities between this higher power that I suggested earlier and the Most High God. But I feel personally like it would be excessive. And that's my prerogative. I told y'all earlier that I refuse to even appear like I'm trying to convince or convert you into accepting the Most High God as your God. That's not my responsibility. Hell, even Max Planck, a German physicist, agreed that there has to be a higher power. He didn't believe in a personal God, but he acknowledged that he existed. I was challenged to provide sufficient evidence, and it's up to you, our judges, and those watching, to determine what is and what isn't sufficient intersubjectively in order to acknowledge that this higher power may or may not exist. To sit here and keep providing scripture would turn this into a church sermon, and I am not a pastor, nor am I a shepherd in any sense of the word. It was my charge to provide proofs and indicators, solidifying beyond a reasonable doubt that there was sufficient evidence of a higher power, and that this higher power, this might be the Christian God. I feel like there is enough. That's my prerogative. Remember the analogy I gave you earlier with the ice cube?
That's time. Finish your thought.
I'm confident that y'all will agree as well.
And there it is, family. So it is now in the hands of the judges. We will announce the results tomorrow on Paradigm Shift TV 314. the Demus Afrikan, your favorite atheist, the animated assassin, the annihilator of urban apologetics, J.Faqz. I believe this was probably one of the best debates we've had on this channel ever. And so both of these brothers absolutely killed it, in my opinion. I'm very curious to see who the judges are going to go with. I'm very curious to see who the audience is going to go with. Now, the audience opinion is more or less just an opinion. It is up to the judges to decide who moves on in the debate. But I am curious to see who the audience thinks took this one. It's very, very interesting. So again, I think both of these brothers did excellent. Jamel, any last words before you get out of here?
Nah, yo, I ain't got nothing, King. I appreciate the time. Shout out to the entire Paradigm Shift 314 family. I appreciate y'all for having me. This was fun. Shout out to Pan. Yo, shout out to you too, Pan. Honestly, I ain't got no animosity, King. This is how Brooklyn niggas is. I'm sure you understand. You feel me? Shout out to everybody, though. I appreciate you having me. Thank you so much for the opportunity. You have a good night.
No doubt, no doubt. That is the annihilator of urban apologetics, ladies and gentlemen, J.Faqz. Y'all come and check him out over here. He's going to be bringing a lot more content to the platform. We got your favorite atheist, the animated assassin, Demus. Do you have any last words before you get out of here?
Salute to my opponent. It was a good battle. Salute DMG in the building, Craig's, everybody for watching. I appreciate all y'all. If you did not hit the like, it's a lot of y'all in here, hit the like, you know what I mean, you heard. And despite all the back and forth, you know what I'm saying, even though, you know what I'm saying, you may hear some animosity, this is about the information, people. So make sure you get some, rewind. And like I said, I shared some extra reading in the chat, so just go back and follow that link. You feel me? Paradigm shift.
All right, family. So look, the post show is tomorrow. We're gonna hit that thing about 6:15. Well, you know what? Let me get that right. 7:15 Eastern time. You know, my man Ratchet been thumping me upside the head. You gotta say Eastern time. You know, y'all know how Ratchet sound. Damn, Jay, you gotta say Eastern time. I know that was a bad Ratchet, but I can't really do it. That man got the most unique voice on YouTube. But he been telling me we're going to start saying Eastern time just to keep everything universal. So 7:15 Eastern time tomorrow, we will have the results. We are going to go, I'm going to open up the panel. We're going to get everybody's opinion on what went down today. This is the opening round of the Paradigm Shift TV whole effing show, Battle of the Ideologies, Tournament Round 1. My man, the annihilator of urban apologetics, J.Faqz, your favorite atheist, the animated assassin, Demus. This has been Paradigm Shift TV 314 family. Y'all know what it is. It's your brother, the infamous DMG, the poet, aka Brother Pianki. And y'all know what it is, man. We're going to keep bringing it to you. Y'all come on black. And we're going to leave you with Neo Love. As always, humbly, we endure. That being said, y'all come back and get the results. And it's going to be a tough call. I do not envy the judges. But we'll be back at it again. We're going to get it even more refined. It's going to run even more smoothly. Shout out to the brothers. We out of here, family. That is peace. Neo Love. We out.
Yeah. I know I got about 30 seconds to make y'all feel this before y'all turn it off these days. That I might not even release this. But I be doing this shit for me, help me get through. I feel like I give until I can't, but most don't recognize it till I ain't. Blood on them covers, she hoping paint. Sorry mama, but it ain't. This world took a toll on me, and everyone that say they love me always seem to follow me. The same one that call me great, treat me like I ain't shit. I read between the lines, it's written all over your eyes. I see the disappointment in the eyes of the ones who want me dead, but I ain't never been scared, I tried to get there. Sometimes I wonder if I survived or did I die on that ride to that hospital. Demons all around me, I am not mental. This game of life, it is